All right, so I decided instead of taking pictures of my work that I already submitted to you, I would just make a quick video. So for number 4, first I'm like, all right, I need to solve this right triangle. What do I have? What am I looking for? I see right here I'm looking for one of the sides. I was already given 2 of the sides, so that's why I chose to use the Pythagorean theorem. You could absolutely, so you need to find, so in order to use trig to find x, I need to have at least one angle. Okay, so, and I can't use the 90-degree angle. So first, let's just find x. So x squared equals, just kidding, plus 33 squared equals 50 squared, okay? And I'm pretty sure you're fine with that. I'm just going to jump to the answer, right? I get x squared is equal to 1,411. When I take the square root of both sides and I round to the nearest tenth, I get x is equal to 37.6. Okay? All right, I think you're probably fine with that. Okay, so now that I found x, right, and that's an approximation because I rounded to the nearest tenth. So that's about, like squiggly equal sign what x equals. 37.6. So you don't really want to use that side when you're trying to find these 2 missing angles because that's the next things we need to find for to solve this right triangle. So I have these given sides. Those are nice numbers. They're not decimals, so I want to work with that. So first I'm like, all right, you choose. Who do you want to find? Z or y? I'm going to choose y. So from y, what 2 sides am I given? I'm given the adjacent side and I'm given the hypotenuse. Okay, so which trig function uses adjacent and hypotenuse? It's cosine. So that's why I have to use cosine. So, cosine of y is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, 33 over 50. So remember, we use inverse trig functions to find the angles inside the triangle, okay? So y is equal to inverse cosine. Remember, you have to hit second and then the trig function of 33 over 50. Right? Remember, you want to round to the nearest tenth, and you should get 48.7. 0.7 degrees, okay? 48.7 degrees. Since, we always want to work smarter and not harder, right? Now that we know that this is 48.7, we can just subtract from 90 and find z. That's easy, right? So, right, remember the remaining 2 angles in a right triangle are complementary. So 90 minus 48.7 is equal to 41.3 degrees. 41.3. Okay, so that's number 4. Boom, done. Triangle solved. Moving on. So here we go, number 5. Now I'm missing 2 sides of the triangle and I'm only missing 1 angle. So instantly I'm like, well, I want to do the easiest thing. So I'm going to find out what z is, right? Because z plus 37 equals 90, or 90 minus 37 equals z. So when I do 90 minus 37, I get 53 degrees. Right, so that took care of that right away. Then, all right, so now you get to choose. What do you want to find? Do you want to find y, or do you want to find x? Well, x is up here as first. Let's find x first. So I'm going to start from this 37 degrees. X is the adjacent side. I am given, because I have to have one given side, I am given the opposite side. This is opposite of 37. So which trig function uses opposite and adjacent? Tangent, right? TOA. Don't forget, you want to write SOHCAHTOA on everything. I forgot to do that for number 4. But I'm going to take the time and write it now because it definitely helps, right? Okay, so now I know I'm using tangent to find x. So tangent of 37 degrees is equal to opposite over adjacent, 18 over x. Remember when I said x is in the denominator, we just flip-flop these, right? So x is equal to 18 divided by tangent of 37. We put that in our fancy little calculator. Let's see here. I get, when I round to the nearest tenth, 23.9. So x is 23.9. Oops, sorry, my decimal looks pretty crazy. All right, so now you could use Pythagorean theorem to find y, but I really think trig function is kind of easier if you're finding a missing side. So I'm going to change to red. So from this 37 degrees, y is the hypotenuse. We still have to use this 18, which is still the opposite side, right? What we're looking for and what we have. We need to have that in the equation, okay? So opposite hypotenuse, that means sine. So I'm going to use sine to find y. So sine of 37 degrees is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Again, the variable's in the denominator. We just trade places with that sine 37. Right? So 18 divided by sine 37 will give us y. About, right? Because we're going to round to the nearest tenth. 18 divided by sine of 37 gives me 29.9 when I round to the nearest tenth. That's it. This triangle has been solved. Boom. All right, let's take a look at number 6. I think maybe what your problem is you get nervous about the angles on the inside. So when we're using trig functions, right? So you have to know your ratios, right? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent is opposite over adjacent. Those are the ratios we're using. So let's try to find, well, first I guess, yeah, let's try to find y first, okay? I'm looking for y. I have to, when I'm looking for an angle, I have to have two given sides. The only given side is this, which is the opposite, and this one, which is the hypotenuse. Opposite hypotenuse is sine. I use inverse trig functions for inside the triangle. So if I want to skip a step and just get to the inverse of that ratio, the inverse function of O over H, which is 6 over 7.6, and put that in my calculator and round to the nearest tenth, I will find out what y is. All right, so second sine 6 divided by 7.6 gives me 52.1 degrees. Okay, 52.1 degrees. Now that you have that, just subtract to find z. Don't do trig functions again because it can get messy, because remember 52.1, we rounded to the nearest tenth, and the farther out your decimal goes, the more exact it is. So it might not work out that this triangle is 180 degrees inside, so we need to make sure that that stays true, because we know that's a fact. So in order for that to be true, z and y need to be complementary, meaning they equal 90 together. So 90 minus 52.1 will give us the measure of z, which is 37.9 degrees. Okay. So you really, when you're missing two angles, you just find that first one, and you have to use the two sides that are given, and then subtract from 90 to find that second angle. Okay, so now we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find this, or we can use trig. So what do you want to do? You get to choose, right? How about we try to use trig, right? How about we use 52.1 degrees? Right, we're going to use 52.1 degrees. And again, because I had my arrows in there, that's why I stuck with that one. So I have opposite, I have hypotenuse, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for x, which is adjacent. This is adjacent. So adjacent, opposite, that's tangent. Tangent of 52.1 degrees is equal to 6 over x. That makes x equal to 6 divided by tangent of 52.1. All right, let's check it out. 6 divided by tangent 52.1. I get 4.7. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in here, and I just want to check something out and show you something. Okay, so hey, maybe you wanted to use the Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to change color to blue and say I'm trying to find x, right? So x is one of the legs. X squared plus 6 squared is equal to 7.6 squared. So x squared plus 36 is equal to, oops, 57.76. So I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides and get x squared is equal to 21.76. Take the square root of that, and I get 4.7. Whoa, that's bananas. About, right? I'm rounding. 4.7, so I still get the same thing. So I think it's cool, man. Math is so cool. Anyway, all right, I hope this helped you. If it didn't, maybe we'll Google some. We'll find a video for you. And good luck tomorrow. Happy studying, and I will see you on Wednesday.